So let's begin this session. So let's discuss on the switch case. So I have introduced you what is switch case and what is the syntax of writing the switch case. So what is switch case? Now this is another conditional statement. So we have if. What is if? It is a conditional statement. Why do we use that? So if we have a condition and if the condition meets to your requirement, right? And if it, based on that you want some statements to be executed, then we go for the conditional statement. So we have if to achieve that particular requirement. So in the similar way, we have one more statement which is called as switch case. Okay, so the switch case is also used for the sake of what? So nothing but it is like a condition statement which will execute statements based on a value. Okay, now if is doing what? If is able to do the check based on what? Based on a condition. Now you will pass input to the if as a condition, but whereas to the switch, the only difference is you will pass a value, not a condition here. Okay, so that's the difference. But basically, both of them are going to do the same kind of functionality. Okay, in their own style. Now we understood the style of if, how it works. Now let's understand the style of how switch case will work. Now, if you have remembered, so what is switch case? Let me write it down once again. Yes. Okay, so switch case is what? So switch case is another conditional statement. Okay. So which executes the statements based on what? Based on value. Which executes statements based on value, not a condition. If takes condition, whereas switch takes a value, and based on the value, it will be able to decide which statement has to get executed. Now the syntax is what? What is the syntax? How the syntax of writing the switch case looks like? You will have a switch keyword. Every letter should be written in small. It's a keyword. Okay. It is a keyword actually. So every letter should be in smaller case only. Now what this is going to take? This is going to take a value. So the value can be given in terms of a variable, in terms of a literal. Okay, whether we can give the value in terms of literal or not, we'll see it later. But the value should be given to it as a variable. So variable will have what? Variable is always going to hold a literal, a value. Am I right? So that's the reason switch will take what? A value in terms of a variable. Right? Now, a flower bracket open. Okay. And the switch contains cases. What are cases? Cases are what actually contains the statements. Okay. We will have a group of statements. So if you want those group of statements to be executed based on a match. So there is a match. Match is nothing but so that those particular a value is matched to a value to which I have given. I have an input value and I have the value to which it has to match. Okay, when there is an equality, okay, given value and the case label, if they are having a equality when they are matched, and then I want group of statements, they have to be executed. Okay, so that's where this group of statements under switch, they are divided into cases. Okay, now I have group of statements. These statements has to be executed when this particular value is matched, and these group of statements has to be executed when so and so value is matched. Okay, so when a value is matched, based on that, so and so group of statements has to be executed. For dividing that, it brought up a scenario called cases. Okay, so now what switch will have inside? It will have case. Okay, case is again a keyword. Okay, here case is also what? Case is, this is also a keyword again. Okay, so a case should follow by a label. Okay, it should be having a label. So how to write a label? What can be a label? Okay, so how to write a label? All these things we will see in a few minutes. So I can write case, and to a case immediately it follows with the label. Okay, and after that you will have this column. Okay, two column symbols. Okay, one column symbol followed by how many statements you have, how many statements you wanted to group. All those statements has to come under this particular case, and after finishing of all the statements that should come under that case, okay, you need to use a keyword called as break. Okay. So is it mandatory to use break or it is not mandatory? If you use, what happens? If you don't use, what happens? Those things we will see in few minutes. Okay. So, but basically remember that after writing the group of statements under a case, at the last, you need to have the break statement. Whether it is optional or mandatory, we will discuss it later. Okay. So now in this way, you can have what? You can how many cases? You can have any number of cases. Okay. There is no limit to it. You can write any number of cases. Every case will have a different label. You cannot have the same label. Label should be differing here. Okay. And again, this one can also contain group of statements under it. And don't remember to have a break statement at the last. Okay. Similarly, you can write what? You can write any number of cases like this. And every switch, okay, like how a if and else if, okay, if none of the if and else if statements are not matching, at that time you want some other statement to be executed. Sorry, some other block to be executed in if else. What is that? If and else if, we'll use else condition, right? So if is not matching, else if is not matching, any of the if and else if are not matching, at that time you want some other thing to get executed. What is that? Else. Similarly, in switch also, if none of not matching. Sorry, am I audible, guys? Am I audible?
Yes, sir.
You're able to follow, right?
Yes, sir.
Okay, sorry. So I heard some noise, that's the reason. Okay, cool. Let me go through. So let me continue. So as I said you, like how if in if else if none of the if and else if statements are not able to match, at that time what we'll have else condition, right? Which will be a default one where the condition will get executed. In the similar way, if none of the cases are not matching and I want some default block to be executed, okay, for which what we have in switch, we have a thing called as default here. This is again a keyword. What is default? Default is also a keyword. Okay, this is also a keyword. So every letter should be written in smaller case. Okay, so now default will not have any label. Okay, only cases will have label. Default will not have any label, just the keyword followed by colon, and you can write whatever the statements that you want. Okay, so this is basically the syntax of how a switch case looks like. Okay, now what are the things that we need to discuss is if the value of the variable, now here what actually happens is, now if I am passing a variable here, right? You are able to see a variable here, right? Now, if the variable value, if it is equals to any case label, okay, we are able to see these labels here, right? So if it is able to match to any of these labels, then what happens? Immediately, the statements that match to that label, that case label, are going to be executed. Understood? So what happens in the switch? So when you pass a variable, that variable value will try to match the case labels. Okay, so if any of the case label is matching, then immediately it will jump to that particular case and it will try to execute the statements which are there under that particular case. Okay, so now if any of the cases fails, okay, so now the variable that I have passed to the switch, if it is not matching to this one, or none of the cases, none of the case labels are not matched, then what happens? It goes to the default and the statements under the default are going to be executed. Okay, now let's try to write one demo program on switch case. Okay, so let's write a switch case program. So what I wanted to do is I wanted to print my favorite color. Okay, so I wanted to print my favorite color, for which I'll try to come up with so many cases. Okay, in case one, I might be saying that I like a black color, maroon, blue, yellow, something like that. Okay, so I have I have an option to choose. Based on that, I can tell that so and so color is my favorite color. Okay, so to achieve this particular requirement, now let's write a switch case. Okay, let's try to write the switch case achieving this particular requirement. Write a program. To demo on switch case. Okay, so let me write a class. Okay, let me write a class and let me write a executable method, which is a main method. So I'm taking the class. Okay, and I'm saying switch demo. Switch demo 1. Okay, this is my class name. And as I need a main method to write my statements, okay, I'm writing the main method here with the syntax, the correct syntax. What happened to this? Okay, so public static void main, which takes string array as an argument. Now, what is my requirement? I want to have a switch with cases to display what is my color, what is the color that I like. Okay, so how to write it? Okay, so I'm writing a switch and I need to pass a variable to it. Okay, so let me say my variable name is choice. Let me declare it. So int choice. Okay, so what should be the value that I need to give to it? We'll decide later. Okay, for now keep it like this. Now I need to pass a variable. This is a variable. Okay, so I'm passing it to the switch. Now what I'm trying to write is case 1. Okay, so why I'm taking case label as 1? Because I'm taking the type as integer. Okay, as I'm taking the type as integer, I need to have the label names as integers only here. Okay, I need to give the case labels as integer data here. Okay, so what is that I have? System dot out dot println. Okay, so what I wanted to print, I like black color. Okay, now as I just have one statement to be executed. So as I told you, after this, what I need to do? I just need to write the break statement. In a similar way, let me write other cases too. So case 2, what is that I want? Says SOP of, what is that? I like maroon color. Okay, so break statement again. Okay, so in the same way, case 3, system.out.println of, I like blue. Okay, and break statement. Okay, similarly, let me write one more case. Case 4, SOP of, I like yellow color, otherwise. And again, don't forget to mention the break statement here. And lastly, if none of these are matched, then I wanted to display a default color. Okay, saying that I don't like any color. Okay, so close the switch case, close the method, and close the class. Okay, now if I give a value here as 1, okay, then what happens? Now this value will try to look at each case labels. Now where is 1? If I give 1 here, I have case 1 here, right? Here I have case 1. So immediately what happens? This is going to be printed. Okay, once this statement is executed, immediately it goes to the break statement. So when it encounters this break statement, it will stop there and it will come out of the switch. Okay, till here, from here to here we have switch, right? When the minute it encounters this break statement, it will come out of the switch to this particular point. Okay, it will come out of the switch block. Okay, that's how it will execute. Now, if I give 2 here, then second case will be executed. In the similar, only second case will be executed. Now, if I give 3, okay, if I give 3, then only the statements that are there under the third case 3 are going to be executed. Okay. So in this case, it will print I love blue color. And once that is done, it encounters the break statement, it will come out. In the similar way, if you give 4, then fourth case will be executed. And you are going to give 6 now. So do we have that case? No. Which means that the given value to the switch is not matching to any case at that time. The default is going to be executed. Okay. So the default statement is going to be executed. Understood? So this is how generally the switch case will work. Now, let me write this program. Okay, let me write this program. Let's try to execute whether it is trying to whether it is working in the similar way what we have explained till now. So we'll test that. Okay, whether it is working in a similar way or not. Okay, after that we'll try to understand some of the important points around it, and later we'll talk about the rules of how to use and what not to use in the switch statement. Now let me go to a editor and let me say new file. Okay, so there is a new file already, and let me write that class. So class followed by what is it? We are trying to demo on switch. Okay, and this is the first demo which we are doing on switch statement. So what we need to write our code, we need a method. So which method we need? We need a method which should be executable. So which method is executable? Main method, right? So the first executable method is main method. So let me declare the main method with this correct syntax, which is public static void main string array of arguments. Okay, now what I want to do, I want to write my switch case, which will be able to take the options from me, value from me, and based on the value, it has to execute the statement that match to that particular case. Okay, for which what I'm doing here, I'm writing a switch. Switch will take a value. So what is that? It is taking a variable. Okay, so let me declare that variable, which should be of integer type. Okay, int choice followed by I'm giving a value 4. Okay, now let's see this. Okay. So now what I want a case which label should be 1, because the choice type I have given is integer. That's the reason the labels also should be that type only. Remember, when you are naming the label should be matching to the type of the value that you are passing. Because when you pass a value to it, it will try to match to what? To the label. That's the reason the type what you are giving to the label and the type what you are passing to the switch should be always matching. If it is not matching, then it is going to be throwing a exception. Okay. Now what is that I wanted to do here? I wanted to say system.out.println. Okay. So what is it I wanted to do? I wanted to print I like black color. Right. So next immediately I need to mention the break statement here. Okay. So next what we have, similarly I have next case which is 2, and this should be doing what? This should say what? I'm just copy pasting. Okay, and this should say I like maroon color. In the similar way, let me write one more case. The case should be 3. Okay, and this time I would like to say I like blue color. Okay, similarly, let me write one more case. And this case should be 4. And let me say this is yellow. Okay, and if none of these, then I wanted to say a default. And this time, no need to have the break because this is the last statement. So I would like to say I don't like any color. Okay. So with this, we are able to write our program. Okay. So I have given the choices 4. Now, if I save this file and compile and execute, at that time I should be able to see I like yellow color. So this is the option that has to print on the screen. Okay. Let's check whether it is working in the similar way what we try to understand or not. Let's see that first. Now let me save this first. 1 second. Let me save this. Let me say command S. And let me say switch case demo 1 and give the extension as .java. And let me go to desktop. Oh, Java. That's one. So let me create a folder here saying day 15. Okay. So let me save this program there. So did we write everything correctly? Okay. If we have any issues, our compiler is going to throw error. Based on that, we'll try to cover that. We'll try to clear that. Okay. Now let me open my command prompt. Okay. So let me clear this first. And let me go back, for which I'm using cd slash dash dash cd dot dot. It goes back. Now let me go into day 15. Okay, so yeah, I'm to day 15. Now let me use the compiler to execute this particular program. To compile the program. So now I have compiled. If everything looks good, it is going to give us the dot class file. Yeah, everything is good. Now let's test whether we are going to get output as I like yellow color or not. Yeah, so we are able to get I like yellow color. Now for this also, you can use the buffer reader because I have a hard coded. Now you don't want to hard code and you want to take the value, you can use it. You can take the help of the buffer reader. Okay, but yeah, right now I'm not using all those things. When you are writing program, if you want to take input dynamically, then you can do that. For now, I'm just hard coding this value. Okay, you people, if you want, you can try that way. Now, if I give choice as 2, then at that time, let me say this. Okay, and this time it has to print that I like maroon color. Okay, let me compile this program as I did the changes to the program. And once again, let me execute the program. So this time it has to say, yeah, it is able to print that is a maroon color. And if I'm trying to give an opt or choice where none of the cases are matching, at that time default has to work. Okay, now again, I have saved the file, okay, by using the command, control S. And now again, as I did the changes to the file, again, I need to do the compilation. Okay, let me do the compiling once again. So I did the compiling. Compilation is done. And now again, let me execute the program. Okay, so this time I don't like any colors. Yeah, as I said, if none of the cases are matching, it goes to the default case. Okay, so with this, we are able to successfully demo this. Now let's see the rules. Okay, and some of the noted point that we have to consider while working with switch case. Okay, give me a minute. Okay, now what happened? Just give me a minute. Okay, so now let's see this. The points that we need to notice. Is it clear, guys, till there? You have any questions or is it clear? There are a few more points that we need to discuss, but till here, is it clear or you have any questions? If not, let me move on. No, right? Okay, I consider that as no. So let me go on. So the points that we need to note here is, okay, we can say switch case is replacement to if else, if and else if ladder. Okay, so you know if and else if ladder, right? So we used to write what? If you have multiple conditions, first I used to write if. And again, if you have one more condition, then I will be writing else if. In that way, how many else if I can write? I can write any number of else if. If and else if. So basically, we call it as a if and else if ladder. Okay. So now what we can call switch as, which can be called as a replacement to if else if ladder. Okay. When it contains many equal comparisons. Okay. When you can say switch case is replacement to if and else if ladder when only it is having many equal comparisons. Okay, if the thing is it is going to have only equal comparison. What is equal comparisons means? Whether 1 is equal to 1 or not, 1 is equal to 2 or not, 1 is equal to 3 or not. What is it? We are checking the equality comparison. If we have equality comparison, multiple equality comparisons, at that time, if you want to say that it is a replacement of if and else if, then you can call switch case as a replacement to if and else if. But you cannot call if and else if ladder as a replacement to what? So switch case is not a replacement to if and else if when you have any other comparisons like greater than, less than, not equal to, greater than equal to, less than equal to. If you have these comparisons, at that time you cannot say that switch case is not a replacement to if and else if ladder. You can say switch case is a replacement to if and else if ladder when it contains many equal comparisons. Let me note down them. Okay, let me write them. So when we can say what we can say? We can say switch case, okay, is replacement to what? To if, okay, and else if ladder. Okay. So when we can say it is replacement? When it contains many equal comparisons. Okay. And it contains many equal comparisons. Okay, then we can say it is a replacement. But when we cannot say switch case is a replacement to if else if ladder, but we cannot say okay when it contains any other comparisons, like what are they? Greater than, less than, not equal to. Okay, so greater than, equal to, less than or equal to. So okay, when there are multiple these compare the symbols what we have just discussed. Okay, when there are multiple greater than comparisons apart from equal comparison, then we cannot say switch case is replacement. Switch case is replacement to if and else if ladder. Okay, this is one point. So these are 2 points which we have to remember. And next, what is it? So generally, when we have to go for switch case, now when we have to go for if else, if and else if. Okay, when we have to go for something, when we have multiple conditions. If we have multiple conditions, based on the conditions I want something to be executed, then we have to go for if and else if. So then when we have to go for switch case, when we want to make multiple equal comparisons. Okay, so if you have multiple equal comparisons, then we have to go for switch case. Okay, so generally we go for, sorry, what happened? Give me a minute. Give me a minute, guys. Just a minute, I'll come back. Okay, I'm back. Okay, so what is this? Generally, we go for switch case when we have what? When we want to make, multiple equal comparisons. Okay. So now, to understand this, basically what we'll try to do is we'll try to write an equivalent if and else if ladder. Okay. To the above program, what we have written here, we'll try to write an equivalent else if program. Okay. If and else if program, then you will be able to understand like how that if and else if is written so that it is converted into switch case. Okay, and if the if and else if is written in which way, we cannot convert that into a switch case. We'll understand that. Okay, so now if some requirement can be achievable by if and else if, why still we need to use switch case? Okay, we'll try to understand that point in few minutes. But before that, what shall we do is we'll try to write a equivalent program to switch case by using what if and else if. Okay, so what shall we do? Let's write the above program. Okay, using if and else if ladder. Okay, let's try to write this. So how basically we will try to write the same program. If it is if and else if, we'll try to write it like this. Okay, what shall I'm not taking class and I'm not writing any method here. Directly I'm trying to write the code. Okay, so what I will how I will write, I will say if. Okay, what is my if? If so I'll try I have to write an expression here, right? So I'm writing int and choice. Okay, so I'm giving a choice as 4. Okay, so what I should say, if choice equal to 1, right? Then what I wanted to do, I wanted to say that, okay, I like black color. Okay, and close this. Now again, I have one more thing, right? I need to say else and if. And again, what I have to say, if choice is equal to 2, then what should I say? I like, okay, maroon. Okay, I like maroon color and close this. Okay, so similarly, I have how many more? 2 more, right? So let me write those things also. Again, I have to say what else. So you no need to write the next step in the next line. You can just give a space here and you can write like this also. Okay, if choice equal to 3. Okay, then you have to say what? SOP of I like blue. Okay, and close again. Again, let's say else if of choice equal to a 4. Then what is that I wanted to do? I wanted to say I like yellow color. Okay. If none of these things matches, then I wanted to say I don't like any color. Okay. Now you understood? What are we actually trying to do here? So everywhere I'm trying to do the equality comparison. See, so I have a variable and that variable, whether it is matching to this particular condition or not, whether this choice, the value 4 is equal to 1 or not. Again, this is equal to 2 or not, whether this is equal to 3 or not, whether this is equal to 4 or not. Okay, so what is that particular thing we are trying to do? Equality comparison. So I have multiple equal comparisons. So if you have multiple equal comparisons at that time, instead of choosing if and else if ladder, better to go for switch. The reason is in if and else if, see the code is readable or it is not readable. The readability and maintainability of this program is looking a bit tough. Am I right or not? Is it, when you look at this program, is it kind of looking like some messy to understand this or not? Whereas your switch, look at this switch. So is it giving some sense? Is it understandable? It is written in such a way that you're looking at that and it is giving you some sense to it. Like it is directly understandable. So the look and feel of this particular switch case is what is very maintainable and understandable, right? So that's a better thing when it compares to if and else if. Okay, switch is having a smarter way of dividing the section such that it looks good when you are and for you to understand the code, it will be easy for you to understand it. Okay, you don't need to feel any difficulty. Whereas here, look at this, how messy it is looking like. So it is not straightforward and it is not, I don't say that it's not at all understandable, but comparatively with switch, it is not so good, right? So whereas that is very simple to understand. So that's the basic difference. Now, when we have to go for if and when we have to go for switch, if you think that you have multiple comparisons, okay, and based on that you want some of the statements to be executed, then go for choosing switch, okay? And remaining cases, you need to go for using what? Only if and else if ladder only. Got it? Now this is about if and else if. Now let's look at the rules. Now you understood, right? How a switch case, if the equal comparisons can be written in if and else if. So this is how we generally write it. Now saying this, let's move on and let's try to see the rules that we need to follow. Give me a minute. Okay, so let's look at the rules that we need to follow in writing the switch expression. Okay, what is mandatory now, what is not mandatory. So what we can write and what we cannot write. Okay, let's look at all the rules and based on that, we'll be able to complete the switch and we can move on to the next topic. Okay, so the rules. So rules are, so writing the expression or value for switch case is mandatory. Okay, so now talking about what? This one. So we have switch and to the switch we have what? We are talking about this particular thing. Okay, so this one. So writing expression or value for switch case is what? Mandatory. It is not optional. If you don't give that, and if you're not giving that, then it is going to throw an error. Okay, or it will throw an exception. So rule number 1 is what? Writing the expression or value. Okay, for switch case. It is mandatory. Okay, so and what? And if you are trying to pass an expression or value to switch case, and that should be what? It must be always byte or short or int or char. Okay, and it should not be long, float, double, boolean. It should not be any other type. Remember, okay? So what is the type of expression or value? It should be you can pass to switch. You can only pass what? So which must be any byte. You can pass a byte type, you can pass a short type, or you can pass a int type, or you can pass a char type. Okay, but what? But it should not. Okay, it should not be any okay long or float or double or boolean. Okay, remember, if any of the types are these, okay, then you should not give that value as an expression to switch. Remember this. Okay, let's see some scenarios on this point. Okay, let's see some scenarios based on this rule. Now, so you have to tell me whether this is a correct syntax or not. I'm writing a switch without an expression or value. So can I write a switch without an expression or value? Is it a correct syntax or it is a wrong syntax? Someone should answer me. Writing a switch without an expression or value. Is this a correct syntax or it is not a correct syntax?
Not correct.
Yes, this is wrong. Now, let me go for the second one. So, I have an integer variable, a is equal to 10. Okay. Now, I'm trying to do what? I'm trying to use switch. Okay. And passing the value. Okay. And I'm not writing any statements. Okay. So, I'm following the syntax correctly. Okay. I'm able to pass a value and my switch statement, everything is correct. Okay. Even the data type is also correct, but I'm not writing any statements inside the switch. Okay. So if I'm not having anything inside the switch body is empty. Can we have a switch body empty? So as I haven't taught you this, but still when it comes to that, it is correct. Okay. So you can have a switch without any statements. A switch body can be empty. Okay. So remember this. Now let me go with another rule which I have explained. So I have declared a long variable and its name is A, and I'm storing a value 1 inside it. And now I'm writing a switch with value A, okay? And I haven't written any statements here. Now, if I try to write like this, I'm trying to pass a value of long, okay, to the switch. Now, can anyone tell me whether this is correct or not? Can I pass a value of long type to switch condition? I mean, switch to the switch expression. Is this correct or it is not correct? Can we pass a data type long to a switch expression, to a switch as a value or expression? Can we pass long? So if you read this, yeah, it should not be any long float double boolean. Okay, this is wrong. You cannot pass a long value. Okay, now let me write one more. Okay, I have a byte. Okay, byte A is equal to 10, and I'm saying switch of A. Okay, so can anyone tell this is correct or not? Is this a correct syntax?
Correct.
Yes, this is correct. Now let me go with one more example. So I have an int A is equal to 1. Okay, and what I'm trying to do here is I'm trying to say switch A greater than 1. Okay, and I am writing like this. Okay, so A is greater than 1. I'm writing an expression. So that expression is what? Which type of comparison is this? Is this expression equal to comparison, or it is some other comparison? So can anyone say this is a correct statement or it is not a correct statement? So here I'm, instead of passing a value, I'm trying to pass an expression. What is expression? I'm checking for whether A is greater than 1. Okay. So as I explained previously, if you remember the note points, so see what is that I can pass and what is that I cannot pass. Can you look at the second one in the note point? So with that, looking at that point, can someone answer me this, whether this is a correct thing or not? This fifth one, whether it is syntactically correct or not, can someone answer me this? Can I have a switch with this comparison? Or I can have switch only for equal to comparison? Understood my question? Equal to comparison means what is the operator we use? Equal to, right? Double equal to. So that is, we call it as double equal to comparison. Now the symbol what I used in switch, it is a equal to comparison or it is a greater than comparison?
Greater than comparison.
So what is that I'm trying to say? So we can use switch only for what? Equal to comparison, not for. Now this is correct or this is not correct?
Not correct.
Perfect. Now let's go to some other example. Now I'm saying here int A is equal to 1 and I'm saying switch, okay, A equal to 1. Now this time,
Yeah, it's correct.
so basically what we are trying to do here, we are trying to do equal to comparison, right?
Yes, sir.
But remember, if I do this comparison here, okay, if I do this comparison here, so generally what happens, the value will evaluate to what? The value will evaluate to what? Boolean, or it is going to evaluate to any of these possible values, byte, short, int, or char. So I told you, right, it should not be any long float double Boolean. Now, after this expression gets evaluated, you see this expression, right? You see this expression. So after this expression get evaluated, the value that will be, the data that will be in switch is what? Which type? Boolean type or an integer type?
Boolean.
So now again, try to, compare that now. Again, try to recollect and tell me whether we can give this in this way.
Uh, Wrong, sir.
Yeah, it is wrong. So you cannot compare there. Okay, you cannot do a comparison here. So you can just pass it as a value. That's it. Okay, your expression should end to what? It should result to a boolean, byte or short or integer or char only. Okay. Now instead of that, now let me do one more thing here. Okay, I have int a is equal to 1. Okay, and I'm saying switch. Again, I'm saying a equal to 1. Okay, so here a is what? A is a variable which is trying to store a value is what? An integer value. So what will be a will be holding an integer value only, right? So the at last the expression is resulting to what? An integer type. Now this time it is a valid or it is not valid? You understood what I'm trying to do here? I'm trying to assign a value here. After the assignment is done, what will be the type that will be resulting here? What will be the type that will be resulting here? A equal to, let me say this. Otherwise, if you're confused with a is equal to 1, let me say a is equal to 2. So I'm not equalizing here. I'm trying to assign a value. You know the difference between double equal to and equal to, right? Double equal to is for comparing, whereas equal to is for assignment. The right side value will be stored into the left side variable. So I'm using a equal to assignment operator here, not a comparison operator. Now this time, after this value is stored into the A will be what? A will be of which type? An integer type, right? So what is there in switch? Switch is having a value 2 there. Am I right? So if you see switch is holding a value 2 means you will have cases with the numbers or label case numbers with the numbers only, right? Let's say. So in this case, this is correct or this is not correct? You confused? Or you able to understand?
Confused, sir.
Yeah. So that's what I'm trying to make you understand. So we are generally here, we are trying to do what? What is this is called? First, you need to understand what is this operator? What is that we are trying to do here? What is this operator? This,
Equal to operator.
this is resulting to what? Don't be much, I mean, I don't want to make it, so what is it? Okay, there is nothing here actually. Just let me tell you. Basically, this is what? A comparison operator. So comparison operators, what it will result to? A Boolean value. Okay, to switch, you cannot pass a Boolean. Just blind rule, you cannot pass a Boolean value. You can write an expression. That expression at last, it should not result to a Boolean type. Now come to the 7th. Here I'm giving an expression, right? Is this expression is resulting to a Boolean value or it is resulting to a integer value? This is a comparison operator or this is an assignment operator?
Assignment operator.
In assignment operator, what happens? What is assignment operator means? It will take the right side value and it is going to put it into the left side variable. Am I right? Like if you see, so what is the type here at to the last? What is the type that it is resulting to? An integer only, right?
Yes, only
So
integer.
yes, see here, I'm saying int a is equal to 1. Now I'm saying int now a is equal to 2. So what is this line we used to call? This part we call it as what? Initially we discussed about variables, right? So what we call this as variable creation. You remember this?
Variable declaration.
Variable creation. When we say
Oh,
variable declaration, if you have only type and if you have only variable name, this part we call it as declaration. If you have everything, okay, we have a variable declaration along with we also passed a value to it. We call it as what? Variable creation. Okay, and this one is we call it as what? Passing value to the variable for the first time. We call it as what? Initialization. Remember this? And if you're trying to pass value to the variable from second time onwards, we call this as what? Assignment. Okay. Now, if I ask you what is the value that is there in A, what you will tell? So initially I gave a value to A as 1. Now, if I ask you what is the value that is there in A after this statement, what you will answer?
2.
Right. Now here also, are we doing the same thing or not? Are we doing the same thing?
Yes, sir.
Yeah, which means that you're not you have to treat that as an expression that gets evaluated and last what is the value that is going to be available for us? At to the last, what is the expression is evaluated into result? What is the result? What is the final result? Final result is what? As we said here. So it is this only, right? Acceptance. What are the types that are accepting? Byte, short, int, char. Yes, it is resulting to integer, which means that it is valid only. Okay. Anyhow, don't be confused. We'll see a lot of examples on this in the future classes. As this is initial classes, you might be feeling a bit tricky, but as we move on, all these concepts will become easy as we keep on using them, and at that time, these concepts will be keep on coming. Okay. So it will be easy for you in the future classes, even though if it looking like very complex to you in the future, it will be very easy for you. Now, let me give you one last example, and we move on to the next part, next rules. So now tell me this. So I have a Boolean, okay, A, and it is true. Okay, I wanted to use a switch which has to take this value. Okay, now can anyone tell me it is a right one or wrong one? Whether the syntax is correct or not correct?
Not correct.
Perfect. Now, with this thing, can you compare and can you understand that whether it is correct or not? So now if you say eighth one is wrong, so based on that, sixth one should also be wrong. Because it is the value that we passed is a Boolean value. Here I have given expression, and that expression is resulting to a Boolean type. That's why it is wrong. Here similarly, here I have given expression. This expression is result to a integer. That's the result. It is valid, whereas that is not valid. Got it? Now we
Got
have
it.
few more scenarios and few more rules to cover. If I start them, I don't think we'll be able to cover them today. Okay, so we'll see rest of the examples and rest of the rules tomorrow. And once that is done, we'll see some more examples and programs on Switch. Okay, and I'll use few more assignments on Switch case, and later we can move on to iterative statements. Okay.
Subscribe for more videos and hit the bell icon for notification of videos.